like to introduce Jens Lusebrink from Oracle. So Jens has a lot of experience in digital solutions, specifically around the Oracle blockchain platform, and has been a huge support for us in actually in the process of setting up this the solution that we're going to have a quick look at and have a demo of in a little bit. So without further ado, welcome Jens. I'll hand over to you to share the screen and guide us through.
Yeah, thank you, Jurij, for the warm welcome, and hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and let's try a little bit with the Zoom meeting here. Let's share my screen. So let me go into presentation mode. Do you see the presentation mode?
Yes, we can see it well.
Wonderful, great. Okay, yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk a little bit about the Oracle blockchain solution, and also how we are working together with OriginTrail, Trace Labs to empower our customers to do more, to achieve more by entering blockchain into their business processes, into their services. And please allow me to start a little bit with something that I bet you've already seen, you've already known, but I just want to lay out the road to what we'll show later on, and then why we think that the way we define blockchain and the way we use blockchain technology at Oracle might make a difference when it comes to execution and to really be turning an idea into production. And that's what the main challenge blockchain so far still is, even in 2020. So you can do all kinds of new things. You can be more efficient. You can be things more transparent. You can make more things secure. These are all the promises of blockchain technology. And certainly we trying to map this new technology against the traditional business systems that we have. Business networks, partner networks, intercompany networks, everywhere where you have to share data amongst partners, amongst branches of companies, which is done in a very traditional way. And blockchain promises to solve all these issues and then make everyone happy, whether you do this in a public blockchain, permissionless, or you do this in permission blockchain. And certainly this is true. And regardless of technology you're looking at, there is a true core in this promise. And but the problem is basically that you have the technology, but you need to have a second part here. And this is some kind of solution that enables you to work with the technology and also connect to existing application, to existing business processes. Because blockchain is not always disruptive. Blockchain is not always about doing something completely new. And we at Oracle, we're working both with startups, we're working with established companies who are Oracle customers, database customers, for example, or ERP customers for decades. And they're not going to throw out what they've done just because blockchain is on the door and knocking. So we need to find a way on. And fortunately, by using the capabilities of smart contracts running on a blockchain network, and where these are smart contracts from a technology like Hyperledger, whether these are smart contracts from Ethereum, written in Solidity, we really don't care. We can handle both. So we're trying to talk to our customers, saying, well, blockchain might be fine, but think about how you can connect those, what you would like to achieve with blockchain, to what you have already, not throwing anything out of the windows, but trying to improve, trying to modernize, trying to be innovative, but think where it makes sense to be disruptive and where not. So what we're looking here is really at the cross-section between what can blockchain provide, and that results in better compliance, process automation, more auditing capabilities, and where should it belong to, where should it connect to? And these are the business solutions, the business processes of our customers. And you will see this while I'm doing this introduction here. This is really what we're trying to achieve, and we're trying to achieve this with our B2B customers. So Oracle is traditionally a B2B focused company, and we figured out that a permissioned blockchain is much more interesting for B2B customers. They tend to be in control, that tend to be knowing what's going to happen. Also in the blockchain cycle nowadays, and so before they move the critical business processes onto a permissionless blockchain network, they double check if it's not being able to do this in a permissioned solution. And that's why Oracle is offering a permission solution which is based on Hyperledger Fabric. And so far, the 3+ years we have this solution now on the market, it has shown that this idea was the right one from the beginning, where we have customers across the world, whether it's in transportation, logistics, whether it's in finance, in traceability. They all are happy with the approach that we provide them, and we have a reference where we could say the way Oracle is doing it with a technology like Hyperledger Fabric, which you can get almost from everyone, is much more effective for what we would like to achieve than starting with, let's say, the open source Hyperledger Fabric, for example. And again, blockchain is not something that you do for specific vertical market. We do see enterprise use cases growing across all verticals, whether it's government, whether it's supply chain. I mentioned finance already. We'll see specific approaches where companies are trying to do something new, like tracing of minerals, where companies are trying to improve existing business processes, especially around supply chain collaboration. And of course, some completely new stuff, even now with the COVID-19 challenges, where they're trying to figure out, does blockchain helps with vaccination? Does blockchain helps with reporting in terms of searching the right, developing the right medicine, the right treatments, and so on. And so it's really, blockchain could be a solution for everything, but not everything is always ripe for having blockchain embedded. And we also learned that by providing blockchain solution, that is just one side of the medal. We also need to have partners who are able to implement, who are able to take the idea even further. And you will see soon how we're doing this with OriginTrail, by providing a blockchain solution to a wider, to a bigger idea, and only in that combination really do something that is for the benefit of the customer. So let me allow you a little bit about the idea behind the Oracle blockchain solution. It was about what kind of technology we should adopt, and we decided to take Hyperledger Fabric as a permission blockchain offering based on an open source technology. Might not go away in a couple of years as with some other newer technologies, but we figured out, in order to be competitive with the open source, we have to think about what's missing, what do we need to change, what do we need to enhance. Basically, it comes down to the point, we have to make it enterprise ready. Enterprise customers have a little bit concern about using open source for business critical processes. They see that there are some features missing in open source technology, whether it's security, whether it's manageability, operation readiness, and so on. And then we're trying to add all that on top of the open source stack. And then we think about what's the best way nowadays. And nowadays, of course, the first idea is put it into the cloud. So we're coming up with a solution to offer it as a service, ready to go, ready to run, pre-packaged. You just have to subscribe to it, and you are up with an Oracle blockchain instance based on Hyperledger Fabric. You can join a network, you can start a network. And last but not least, and then we're back to this B2B business process integration approach, how could we help our customers with the vast knowledge that we have over the last decades to connect this kind of new technology with their existing business processes, their existing applications, whether they migrated them into the cloud already, whether it's legacy applications. So we added a kind of framework around that really helps them to get up to speed with embedding blockchain technology into the existing businesses or transforming the business processes by adding blockchain technology to it. So we're basically talking about these 5 principles here. It has to be easy to deploy. It has to be easy to integrate with the back office, the whole IT, administrative, IT management stuff. You have to be able to onboard, to have a role concept, a rights concept embedded into it that is easy to add to your Active Directory, to your LDAP or whatever. It has to be easy to monitor and manage, of course, because you don't want to fire up a specific solution just to know if your blockchain is running as it should be. And of course, the integration aspect should be really in your focus. So what you get here is you've got an infrastructure service. On top of the service, you have the open source Hyperledger Fabric. And then around, you have all the features that we added to it, the integration, the REST API, the SDKs for Java, the enterprise adapters to the Oracle world. Everything's running in the Oracle Cloud. And then we figured out, oh, we have customers that can't go into a public cloud. Or we have customers that, for whatever reasons, I have no idea why, don't want to go with Oracle Cloud. But they like this approach. They like this pre-packaged, pre-configured, enhanced Hyperledger Fabric approach. And for them, we add the capability to run the same package on-prem in their data center, in their data center of choice, in a virtualized environment. We're able to connect to the open source Hyperledger Fabric peers. We're not breaking compatibility, so it's not a locked-in solution. Once Oracle for the rest of the life, you have to go with Oracle. It's still open, but it really adds some benefit here. Multiple deployment choices that you can do. You can run a complete on-premise blockchain network, no cloud necessary. You have a multi-cloud network, Amazon, Azure, Oracle, whatever you want, or you can do a hybrid a cloud network here. So it's really around openness and adding value to an already recognized solution in the blockchain space here. And so this is really behind the idea why Oracle went just for Hyperledger, nothing else. There's no Ethereum, there's no Quorum, no RIP, no R3 or whatever. But we're solely focusing on Hyperledger, pushing it to the limits and adding a little bit topping on top of that. And that was really one reason why OriginTrail Trace Labs came to us as an Oracle partner when it comes to a use case that they found in their home region, on the home turf, basically. How could we relieve the challenges that companies in the dairy business, the farmers, the cooperatives, and also the supermarkets, the distributors face? Typically, a lot of parties engaged. Payment processes are disrupted. Clarity about who has received what in what kind of quantity and quality was not always obvious. So a lot of room for disputes and challenges. And the idea then was about the combination of what OriginTrail Trace Labs offers and the Oracle blockchain in the back end, putting it all together, orchestrating everything, might be a viable solution here. And you see, this is a problem. We have the typical blockchain challenges, multiple parties. We have multi-factors like the price of milk that are under discussion. Then it's the whole payment cycle, who owns what kind of amount to whom, has it delivered based on the promised quality and so on. And then the verification of this data, which if you put it into a traditional offering, it will be a multi-point, point-to-point network approach, no transparency, no integrity of the ideas. And so the solution behind was, why not offering, together with the OriginTrail decentralized knowledge graph and the Oracle blockchain running in the background by using smart contracts for the business automation, a solution for these cooperatives, for the farmers, and further on for the dealers, to automate the payment of the delivered milk or the dairy products, basically, running this on the blockchain, doing a reconciliation on the blockchain instead of the traditional process, which was, excuse me for this language here, pain of the ass. And guess what? Still facing real world challenges, different ERP systems, different payment processes. So there really was a need to figure out, how could we bring all of that together? What does need to be run on the blockchain? What does need to be provided by the decentralized network from OriginTrail? And how to get this around, how to get basically everyone on the same level, everyone agreeing on the rules and on the decisions, and then going to test it, going to run it for a couple of times to see if there's any glitches, any issues, sorry, up to the moment where everyone was happy and everyone agreed upon the idea and the functionality, and the first payments have been received based on the smart contract logic embedded in running on the Oracle blockchain and provided by the decentralized network. And I think Jurij is going to give us a little bit more overview about the whole story developed. And I'm happy to open, I'm open for questions. I'm happy to answer some questions. Otherwise, you'll find my contact details on LinkedIn, also on Twitter. I'm happy to connect to you. And Jurij, you're ready to take over?
Yeah, thank you, Jens, for the quick introduction. Let me just quickly share my screen.
Stop sharing.
Yes, so you guys can probably already see my screen now. So just taking 5 seconds to recap, I think Jens put it nicely. I think the solution for the dairy automatic dairy payments that we developed is a nice, it's a very nice example of how the OriginTrail decentralized knowledge graph can actually be used with a permissioned blockchain such as Hyperledger for business automation, whereas the smart contract itself needs to hold certain data that cannot be, that is super confidential and cannot be disclosed, and still utilizing the OriginTrail decentralized knowledge graph to access that linked data to provide everything that is really needed, from the milk volume and test results to actually end up with a payment file that can be used to automate everything completely. And one thing that I would note here before we hop into the demo is, of course, this solution itself. I would say you saw it in the slide before. What's the system that's kind of connecting all of the legacy systems, providing data interoperability, making sure things get secured on the OriginTrail network, on the OriginTrail blockchain platform, Oracle blockchain platform, is actually the network operating system. So the NOS from Tracelabs, which is also available on the Oracle marketplace as an application. And this is where, and you'll see how, as I guide through how these things actually look. I'm doing all of these things manually, obviously for the purpose of the demo. The process itself can be fully automated, so all the steps that I'm going to be doing and showing can, of course, be done purely in the background and without, say, human supervision in that sense. And without further ado, then I would just hop quickly into the demo. So how it works is the dairy usually has some information on the milk volume, so what farmer provided how much milk in what month, and also for each batch of milk, what the laboratory test results were in terms of protein content and fat content, which is essentially determining the quality of milk. And when we get the data looks something like this, right? So this is the volume for a specific month. I think we have October here. that each farmer provided, and we have the test quality data, which looks something like this, right? So data is coming from different systems. It's not interoperable. It doesn't look like you can make heads or tails out of it at first glance. And I'm gonna use the network operating system. So these files could be coming in, of course, automatically. I'm just going to use the network operating system to show you how we actually, as a first step, provide interoperability to these files. So I'm just going to quickly upload the October file that we just looked at here. So that's going to be a CSV. And I'm going to upload the text file for the laboratory test results. Now, what's happening here in the background, NOS has already prepared. So these data sets have already been structured according to the, as you'll see, the GS1 EPKIS and the verifiable credential, W3C verifiable credential data model. And we can actually have a quick look at how these data sets now look. Just wait for a second to load. So, for example, this was, you can see, this is the milk volume information that we just loaded, and a GS1 EBCIS compliant file was generated. And here you can actually see all of the data volumes that we saw before in the CSV are now structured as events in EBCIS format. And some of the attributes are hidden because they shouldn't be accessed by everyone to preserve the privacy of farmers. So this is the EBCIS file, and this is how, for example, the file, the data on milk quality looks like. So you can see here for each batch what was the result in terms of percent for the protein, and what was the result for fat. So these gibberish files that we had here are now properly structured, and we can actually secure them, publish them directly to the OriginTrail network. And I'll do this right now. It will continue publishing in the background, but as it takes 5 to 10 minutes for the files to be published and then linked into that decentralized knowledge graph. So I'm going to be using a file that I uploaded earlier today, just to show you how the payment file is generated. But before going to there, so I'd like to just show you how also the NOS and this whole solution actually interacts with the Oracle blockchain platform. So this is actually the rate card that is stored on the smart contract on OBP. And this is the agreed contractual relationship, that contractual price that the dairy is actually agreed with the dairy cooperative. Now, of course, these are dummy numbers, but say we have a new contractual agreement and we wanted to change this to 0.1, and for protein we change it to 0.2. We can apply the changes, and you'll actually see how quickly these changes are applied. So I'm just going to refresh. This is the Oracle blockchain platform console. You can see actually this transaction has already appeared in the smart contract, and we can see actually here that the protein rate was changed to 0.2 and the fat rate was changed to 0.1. And it goes the same for the farmer overview. So all of these contractual terms are stored in the OBP smart contract to preserve that privacy while giving opportunities to do smart contract business automation. And here it's essentially the same thing, but here we have a list of farmers and the margins that the cooperative takes before they actually transfer the money to the farmers. So it's a complex process to calculate all of these things, and this whole application is making it easy to actually come to a final result. And when all these files are actually linked, so when we have the OriginTrail decentralized knowledge graph on one hand and all of the inputs in the smart contract on Oracle blockchain platform, we can actually generate a payment file. Now I'm going to select the file for June, as that's the one I previously uploaded and has already been published to the OriginTrail decentralized network. But here you can see what the currently applied rate is, and we can actually generate file. So we can generate it once more. The interface also tells us whether there is a problem. So for example, we'll see as it loads, we have some batches of milk, for example, where some of the test results were missing, so the calculation couldn't run. So we also have that kind of error check. And this is how it looks when it's calculated. So just give it a second. So we can see for each batch of milk for that specific month that had results for that had the laboratory test results. What was the volume? What were the related percentages? What was the total amount that they need that the dairy pays the cooperative, and what is the margin that the cooperative actually takes for each specific farmer, and what amount they need to transfer to the specific farmer. And in this case here, this is a simple Excel file. Of course, this can be very easily adjusted to be, for example, a SEPA payment file that can be plugged in directly into the financial modules of ERP systems or any other types of financial systems, where they can be used to generate the actual payments and then just wait for final confirmation. And all of this has full kind of integrity in the sense of OriginTrail decentralized knowledge graph, and also has the auditability as all of the changes and all of the business automation is done on the Oracle blockchain platform to be tracked as well. So this is kind of in a nutshell how the automated dairy solution looks like. Of course, this is again all can be done automatically, but for the purpose of the demo, to show you also that, especially that interoperability piece, how it runs. And with that, I would actually then conclude the session. Thank you. I'll say thank you to Jens for taking the time. Always a pleasure.